Are we on the brink of an environmental catastrophe? The Euphrates River, the lifeblood of civilization for millennia, is drying up at an alarming rate. Is this a natural phenomenon, or is climate change to blame? Some experts believe that the decreasing water levels in the river could be linked to global warming, while others speculate that this could be a sign of a more significant biblical prophecy coming to fruition. And what terrifying discoveries have been seen under the river which scare the whole world? Well, let's dig deep into this matter. The images that were taken on the banks of the Euphrates demonstrate that a significant portion of the Euphrates River has stopped flowing. These dry regions were formerly rich in vegetation and provided food and water for the surrounding area, but now they provide neither. It can be seen in the photographs taken by ANHA at the Rohava Dam in Tishrin, which is Syria's second largest dam on the Euphrates River, that the amount of water in the river has substantially dropped. The Turkish state, which has been using the water of the Euphrates as a weapon against the Syrians for years, blocks off a significant portion of the water that would otherwise flow into Iraq and Syria. According to the terms of the agreement that was reached between the governments of Damascus and Ankara in 1987, Turkey is obligated to supply Syria with an amount of water equal to 500 cubic meters per second. However, the invading state does not adhere to the terms of the deal and is only providing 200 cubic meters of water per second at the moment. The detrimental impacts of the diminishing water supply are seen on the ground. The water levels in the dam lakes in Syria have declined as a result of water cuts, and as a result, both the production of energy and the supply of electricity to the region have decreased. In addition, there is a diminishing availability of land for agricultural use along the banks of the Euphrates. Most critically, getting access to water that can be used for drinking has grown more difficult. This condition is producing significant issues with people's health. The Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria issued a warning that the policy of the Turkish state to lower the water levels of the Euphrates River will lead to humanitarian crises in the region, putting the lives of 9 million Syrians who live in areas adjacent to the river in jeopardy. The Dam's administration of North and East Syria issued a call to the world community and organizations working in the field of human rights, urging them to put an end to the provocative measures taken by the Turkish state. Throughout history, the Euphrates River has served as an important source of water for millions of people, but in recent years it has been rapidly losing its water supply, which is a very concerning development. The lack of rainfall is one of the key causes of this issue. However, several other variables contribute as well. The fact that people in Iraq, where the river runs, are currently contending with the greatest drought they have ever experienced makes the current circumstance even more precarious. But that's not the end of it. The Euphrates has been significantly impacted by climate change as well as rising temperatures, both of which have played a key influence in its drying up. This issue has plagued the region for several decades, and recent estimates put the number of affected individuals at above 7 million. Because of the lack of water and the failure of the crops, over 800 families have been forced to abandon their homes in the villages that are located near the Euphrates River. These folks' lives depend on the river. The Tigris River, another biblical river, is also losing water and drying out, which compounds the problem. The Euphrates is not the only river affected by this issue. The drying up of the river has been exacerbated by several factors, including the construction of many dams, the implementation of water policies, and improper use of the river. Finding a solution to the problem on the Euphrates River is essential, given the number of lives that are currently at stake. According to the Bible, the drying up of the Euphrates River is a sign that momentous events are on the horizon, which may even be a portent of the second coming of Jesus Christ in the rapture. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east, according to Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. According to verses 13 through 15, a third of the remaining unbelievers on earth will be killed by the sixth trumpet. God has temporarily bound the four bound angels, or fallen angels or demons. The release of these creatures is intended to wipe out 1/3 of humanity. It appears that they will lead the army of demon riders responsible for carrying out the massacre. Both the Roman Empire and the Kingdom of Israel's promised future ended at the river Euphrates in the northeast. In Isaiah chapter 9, verse 13 of the Bible, it says, "And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God." Small projections or horns were included in God's design for the golden altar of incense. As God hears the petitions of his people, the altar, which is usually a sanctuary of mercy, will echo with a call for retribution. Mankind is represented by the number 6. 6. Horns is a symbol of might and strength. The number 4 denotes a global scope. Here at this golden altar, God resides. God is never compared to anything besides gold. From a spiritual perspective, this location's proximity to the throne may portend the global impact of the gospel. Yes, they were divinely inspired. Their mission, whether spiritual or bodily, is to deliver the next verse's instruction to let loose 4 angels in the Euphrates River. Reference: Revelation chapter 9, verse 14. Loosen the 4 angels who are confined in the huge river Euphrates. It was instructed to the 6th angel who blew the trumpet. The Bible never once implies that the holy angels are restrained. These are the horsemen of the apocalypse, and they are fallen angels who were once bound by God but are now free to carry out God's judgment. Even the powers of hell are subject to God's will, and he has the power to bind or loosen them at will. One of the 4 rivers that ran through Eden is the Euphrates. Many of the world's shamanistic religions have their roots in this area, beginning with Bab-el. Release of the 4 angels at the sound of the 6th trumpet. The release of the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates at the sounding of the 6th trumpet marks the second woe. A third of humanity is annihilated by the plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone, which are allegedly led by angels and accompanied by an army of 200 million horsemen, or demons. The Euphrates River marks the boundary between the East and the West in God's eyes. The ancient Roman Empire shared this view. Asia, or the Far East, referred to in the area east of the Euphrates. Near East, or Asia Minor, referred to the area just to the west of the Great River. Israel's foes traditionally came from the region around the Euphrates. However, for several decades, it has become increasingly obvious that the Tigris-Euphrates River system is in the process of drying out. A report commissioned by the government in 2021 stated that if water levels continue to drop and droughts continue to be caused by climate change, the rivers might be completely dry by the year 2040. After collecting photographs of this region in 2013, the Gravity, Recovery, and Climate Experience, also known as GRACE satellites of NASA, discovered that the Tigris and Euphrates River basins had lost 144 cubic kilometers of fresh water since 2003. GRACE data show an alarming rate of decrease in total water storage in the Tigris and Euphrates River basin, says Jay Famiglietti, principal investigator of the study, as well as a hydrologist and professor at UC Irvine, in a statement. India currently has the fastest rate of groundwater storage loss on Earth, and the Tigris and Euphrates River basins currently have the second fastest rate of groundwater storage loss on Earth. After the drought that occurred in 2007, the rate became extremely dramatic. In the meantime, there is an ever-increasing need for fresh water, but the region is unable to coordinate the management of its water resources due to divergent views on how international regulations should be interpreted, as Famiglietti explained. The signs of strain are already beginning to appear, but a complete failure of the river system would be catastrophic for the area. The Tigris-Euphrates River is the primary source of drinking water for millions of people in Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. The rivers are beginning to struggle, and at the same time, international debates over access to water are beginning to heat up. These disagreements have also stopped governments from coming up with any viable solutions to the problem. These countries are suffering from a severe lack of water, and there's a growing possibility that this may lead to crisis in terms of public health. In a recent article that was published in the British Medical Journal, the author studied how the difficulty that people in Iraq are having in obtaining clean water is contributing to the proliferation of a wide variety of health crises. Diarrhea, chickenpox, measles, typhoid fever, and cholera are currently spreading across Iraq because of the water crisis. Nasir Bakar, a climate activist and field coordinator at Tigris River Protectors Association in Iraq, told the BMJ. The government no longer provides vaccines to its citizens. Even if the predictions made by the Bible regarding what will happen to the Euphrates should be taken with a grain of salt, it's possible that the book's forecasting of massive change was not too far off. That's all for the video. We'll be right back with more such videos soon. Until then, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.